Self-respect is the invisible crown you wear, the quiet energy that speaks before you utter a single word, and the most powerful foundation on which external respect is built. Without it, no matter how hard you try to gain recognition, people will sense the lack of conviction in your spirit and treat you accordingly. It is not arrogance, nor is it pride. It is the recognition that your worth does not depend on how others see you, but on how you see yourself. People mirror the energy you carry, and if you do not respect yourself, they will not either. When you look into the mirror every morning, the reflection staring back at you is either your biggest supporter or your worst enemy. If you stand tall with dignity, you tell the world you are worthy of respect. If you slouch in self-doubt, constantly criticizing and undervaluing yourself, you silently give others permission to treat you the same way. One of the most destructive habits people fall into is the endless chase for validation. They seek approval in likes, comments, compliments, and applause, but the problem with building your self-worth on external validation is that it is never permanent. One day people praise you, the next day they criticize you, and if your confidence rises and falls with their opinions, you will always remain a prisoner to their perception. Self-respect means standing firm even when the crowd is silent. It means knowing your value so deeply that whether people cheer or not, you keep moving forward. You cannot expect the world to see your worth if you keep asking them to define it for you. The moment you stop begging for validation and start validating yourself, the world begins to notice. Another aspect of self-respect is the boundaries you set. Boundaries are not walls that keep people out. They are doors that filter what you allow into your life. When you let people walk over you, ignore your needs, or treat you as an option, you are not being kind, you are being careless with yourself. Respect is earned by those who respect their time, their energy, and their values. If you continue to allow toxic people into your space, if you tolerate disrespect, if you remain silent when your worth is being questioned, then you are silently agreeing that you do not deserve better. Boundaries are not selfish, they are self-respect in action. Saying no to disrespect is saying yes to your dignity, and once you show people what you tolerate, they begin to adjust the way they treat you. Self-respect is also tied to how you speak to yourself. Many people destroy their confidence not because of what others say, but because of the constant negative conversations they have within. Every time you call yourself worthless, every time you say you cannot do something, every time you minimize your own abilities, you are disrespecting yourself. Imagine having a friend who constantly insults you, doubts you, and belittles you. Would you stay friends with them? Yet many people stay in lifelong toxic relationships with their own inner dialogue. Respecting yourself means replacing self-criticism with self-compassion. It does not mean lying to yourself about who you are, but it does mean being kind, encouraging, and fair to yourself. Speak to yourself the way you would speak to someone you love, because if you do not, the world will follow the example you set. The way you carry yourself in public is also a reflection of your self-respect. It shows in your body language, your discipline, and the standards you live by. When you walk into a room, before you even speak, people rate your posture, your presence, your aura. Do you walk in as if you belong, or do you shrink, hoping no one notices you? Do you speak with confidence, or do you let your voice fade into the background? Respect is not only earned through achievements, but also through the way you present yourself. Self-respect radiates as quiet strength. It doesn't need to shout. It is seen in the way you honor your commitments, the way you show up on time, the way you take care of your health, the way you stand by your values even when it is inconvenient. People respect consistency, and that consistency begins with how you treat yourself every day. There is also a deep connection between self-respect and the choices you make. Every choice you make is a vote for the person you are becoming. When you choose discipline over laziness, growth over comfort, honesty over shortcuts, you are respecting your future self. People notice that. They may not say it, but they admire those who live with integrity, those who honor their word, those who refuse to compromise their character even when temptation is strong. Respect is not demanded by words, it is commanded by actions. And actions rooted in self-respect are actions that cannot be ignored. When you consistently choose to honor your values and your worth, you do not need to chase respect. It comes to you naturally. Self-respect is not about perfection. It is about authenticity. Many people lose themselves trying to please everyone, trying to fit into molds that were never designed for them, trying to become something they are not just to be accepted. But true respect is not given to imitators, it is given to originals. When you live authentically, even if people do not agree with you, They will respect your courage to be yourself. Pretending, faking, and wearing masks may win you temporary approval, but they will never earn you lasting respect. Self-respect is about aligning your actions with your truth, standing firm in your identity, and refusing to shrink yourself to make others comfortable. Another critical element of self-respect is how you handle failure and mistakes. Everyone fails, but not everyone respects themselves through failure. Some allow failure to define them, beating themselves down with regret and shame. Others use failure as fuel, as a teacher, as a stepping stone. Respect grows when you own your mistakes, but refuse to let them own you. It is not about being flawless, but about being resilient. People admire those who can fall and rise again with dignity, those who do not beg for pity, but instead work on becoming better. When you respect yourself enough to learn instead of quit, the world sees strength in you. Self-respect also involves the discipline of saying no to things that do not align with your vision. Many people live lives of quiet frustration because they keep saying yes to everyone else while saying no to themselves. They drain their energy pleasing people, fulfilling obligations that do not matter, and committing to things that do not bring growth. Every time you say yes when you want to say no, you disrespect yourself. Respect is earned by those who prioritize their values and do not waste their time on distractions. Your life is your greatest resource, and how you spend it tells people how much you respect it. Guard your time as you would guard treasure, because it is. The truth is, people are always watching how you treat yourself. They notice how you talk about yourself, how you react when someone crosses your boundaries, how you carry yourself in difficult situations, how you prioritize your health, your growth, and your goals. They may not say it out loud, but they are forming silent judgments about you. If they see that you disrespect yourself, they will not hesitate to follow that example. But if they see that you walk with dignity, if they see that you protect your energy, if they see that you hold yourself to high standards, they will treat you with the same level of seriousness. Respect is contagious. How you give it to yourself determines how much others will give it to you. At the heart of it all, self-respect is about recognizing that you are worthy, not because of what you achieve, not because of who approves of you, not because of how much money you have or what titles you carry. You are worthy because you exist, because you are a human being with unique value, and because your life matters. When you internalize this truth, you walk differently, you speak differently, and you live differently. People sense that energy, and they cannot help but respect it. So the first key to earning respect is not to look outward, but inward. Respect begins at home within yourself. Remove the habits of self-doubt, self-criticism, and self-neglect, and replace them with self-compassion, self-discipline, and self-acceptance. Carry yourself with dignity, live with authenticity, and honor your own worth. When you do, respect will no longer be something you chase. It will be something that follows you everywhere you go. Actions always speak louder than excuses, and this simple truth is what separates those who are respected from those who are overlooked. People admire strength, resilience, and accountability, but they lose respect for anyone who hides behind excuses, blames others for their shortcomings, or constantly complains about life's difficulties. Respect is not something that is given freely. It is something you earn through the consistency of your actions. Excuses may win you temporary sympathy, but they will never win you lasting admiration. At the end of the day, respect is earned not through words but through proof of discipline, responsibility, and results. When life becomes challenging, it is easy to point fingers at circumstances or other people. It is tempting to say, "I can't because of my family, my environment, my past, or my resources." But excuses, no matter how justified they may feel in the moment, do not change your reality. They only delay your progress and weaken your credibility. People notice this pattern quickly. They may nod their heads in pity the first few times, but eventually, they see you as someone who talks more than they act, someone who explains away failures instead of owning them. And once they stop taking you seriously, respect is lost. On the other hand, those who rise above excuses, those who take ownership of their lives even in difficult circumstances, become impossible to ignore. Their actions command admiration because they demonstrate inner strength. Excuses are easy because they shift responsibility. When you blame someone else for your failures, you are essentially saying, I am powerless. But the truth is, respect is reserved for those who claim power over their own destiny. Even in the harshest environments, there are always examples of individuals who chose to act instead of complain. Their stories inspire us because they prove that excuses are optional, while actions are essential. The world does not respect perfection. It respects effort, determination, and persistence. It respects those who stand up after falling, those who find solutions instead of problems, those who show up when it would have been easier to give up. Complaining is another habit that robs people of respect. Everyone faces struggles, but those who spend their time constantly highlighting what is wrong instead of working toward what could be right, end up draining not only their own energy but also the energy of those around them. Complaining without action is noise, and noise does not inspire respect. Think about how people respond to someone who is always negative, always pointing out problems, but never contributing to solutions. They may listen out of politeness, but in their hearts they do not admire that person. On the other hand, think of someone who faces challenges but says, "This is tough, but here is what I am doing about it." Immediately, the tone changes. Respect flows toward the one who takes control, who tries, who builds instead of breaks. Actions build credibility over time. Every promise you keep, every task you finish, every responsibility you honor becomes evidence that you are reliable. Reliability is one of the strongest foundations of respect. People do not respect empty words, they respect consistency. If you say you are going to do something but never follow through, you lose credibility. But if your actions consistently match your words, even your critics will be forced to respect you. Respect does not require everyone to like you. It requires people to acknowledge that you stand by what you say through your actions. Words may inspire people for a moment, but actions create trust that lasts. Taking responsibility is also at the heart of earning respect. Life is unpredictable, and things will go wrong, sometimes because of your own mistakes. It is in those moments that people truly see who you are. Do you point fingers, hide, or make excuses? Or do you admit your role, learn from the experience, and take steps to improve? Respect is earned by those who own their mistakes because it takes courage to admit when you are wrong. People know that no one is perfect, so they do not expect perfection. But they do expect honesty and accountability. When you say, "I made a mistake, but I will fix it," you gain more respect than someone who insists, "It wasn't my fault," even when everyone knows it was. Excuses often come from fear, fear of failure, fear of judgment, fear of hard work, but overcoming those fears and acting despite them is what builds character. People admire those who push forward despite fear, those who do not let obstacles paralyze them. Excuses keep you in the same place, while actions move you forward. Progress, no matter how small, is 1,000 times more respectable than standing still with excuses. People are inspired when they see someone choosing courage over comfort, discipline over laziness, persistence over quitting. That inspiration is the foundation of respect. Another important point is that respect is built not just on how you act when things are easy, but how you act when things are difficult. Anyone can look strong when the road is smooth, but true respect is reserved for those who remain steady in storms. When you refuse to break under pressure, when you maintain integrity in difficult times, when you keep moving even when everything seems against you, people cannot help but respect your resilience. Excuses crumble under pressure, but action in the face of difficulty shines brighter than words ever could. Discipline plays a major role in this as well. Respect is given to those who are consistent, those who show up day after day even when they do not feel like it. Excuses are often fueled by emotions. "I don't feel motivated. I don't feel ready." But those who earn respect understand that feelings come and go, while discipline creates results. Respect is not given to those who start strong and quit halfway. It is given to those who stay the course until the end. Every time you honor your commitments despite fatigue, every time you choose progress over comfort, you strengthen not only your own character, but also the respect others have for you. It is also important to understand that respect does not always come instantly. It is built over time through a collection of consistent actions. Excuses, however, destroy respect instantly. One broken promise can erase years of credibility. That is why it is better to admit limitations honestly than to make promises you cannot keep. People respect honesty more than false bravado. If you cannot do something, say so with integrity. If you can, do it with full commitment. Either way, your respect grows when you choose honesty and accountability over excuses. Envy is another form of excuse making. Instead of celebrating the success of others, some people hide behind jealousy, saying, "They are only successful because they had help, because they were lucky, because they had advantages I didn't." While these statements may feel comforting, they do not change your reality. They only weaken you further by convincing you that effort is pointless. Respect is given to those who rise above envy, those who channel their energy into their own growth instead of tearing others down. When you admire success and work on your own path, people notice your maturity. When you make excuses rooted in jealousy, you only appear small. Taking action also creates opportunities, while excuses close doors. People respect doers because they see them creating results, building momentum, and moving forward. Even if you fail, people respect the fact that you tried. But if you never try, if you only talk about what could have been, you become invisible. Respect comes from presence, from effort, from impact, not from excuses. Action shows courage, and courage commands respect. To live a life of respect, you must make a conscious decision to eliminate excuses from your vocabulary. Instead of saying "I can't," replace it with "How can I?" Instead of saying "It's too hard," replace it with "It may be hard, but I'll try." Instead of saying "I don't have time," replace it with "I'll make time." These shifts may seem small, but they transform the way people see you. They also transform the way you see yourself. You move from being powerless to being powerful, from being a victim to being a creator. That transformation is what builds lasting respect. At the end of the day, excuses are a sign of surrender, while actions are a sign of strength. Respect cannot coexist with surrender. People admire fighters, not quitters. They admire builders, not complainers. They admire those who own their lives, not those who outsource responsibility to others. If you want respect, stop telling stories about why you cannot and start writing a story about how you did. The world may not listen to your excuses, but it will always respect your actions. Listening and gratitude are two qualities that elevate a person far beyond what money, titles, or power ever could. They are quiet forces, yet they shape influence and respect in profound ways. People often underestimate how much listening impacts the way they are perceived. Many are eager to be heard, to speak, to dominate conversations, yet the ones who command the most respect are often those who listen deeply. Listening is not merely the act of staying silent while someone else talks. It is the discipline of giving full attention, of making another person feel valued, of showing that their words matter. When you listen, you do more than hear. You acknowledge, you respect, you connect. People admire that, because in a world where everyone wants to speak, finding someone who listens is rare and powerful. Respect grows when you give people the gift of being understood. A leader who listens earns the trust of their team. A friend who listens strengthens bonds. A partner who listens builds love. Listening transforms relationships, but more importantly, it transforms the way people view you. They begin to see you as someone mature, wise, and empathetic. Even if you say little, the weight of your presence increases because others know that when they speak, you truly hear them. Influence is not about how loud your voice is, but how deeply your silence listens. Many people fail to earn respect because they mistake talking for authority. They interrupt, they dominate, they speak without giving others space. This habit weakens respect because it communicates arrogance and insecurity. People respect those who have the confidence to stay quiet and observe, those who do not rush to prove themselves, but allow others to feel significant. When you let people finish their thoughts, when you ask questions instead of giving speeches, when you remember details they shared, you create an impression of thoughtfulness. Respect flows naturally towards someone who makes others feel seen and heard. Listening also makes you wiser. When you speak all the time, you only recycle what you already know. But when you listen, you open yourself to knowledge, to new perspectives, to wisdom that others carry. This humility to learn instead of constantly teaching is what people admire. Respect is not earned by pretending to know everything, but by demonstrating the willingness to grow. Those who listen are always learning, and those who are always learning always rise. People trust those who evolve, and listening is the gateway to evolution. Gratitude, like listening, is another quiet but powerful builder of respect. Gratitude shifts your perspective from entitlement to appreciation, from scarcity to abundance. People are drawn to those who express genuine gratitude because it reflects humility and strength. Envy and jealousy destroy respect, but gratitude builds it. When you envy others, you reveal insecurity. When you celebrate others, you reveal maturity. Respect belongs to those who can clap for others without feeling smaller themselves. Gratitude allows you to recognize that success is not a competition, that someone else's light does not dim your own. When you live with gratitude, people notice how you treat opportunities, relationships, and even challenges. Instead of complaining, you say, "I am thankful for the lesson." Instead of resenting, you say, "I am thankful for what I have and what I can create." This mindset does not make you weak, it makes you magnetic. People admire those who remain grounded, those who do not allow success to inflate their ego or hardship to destroy their spirit. Gratitude balances both. It keeps you humble in victory and hopeful in struggle. That balance is the reason people respect those who live with gratitude. Listening and gratitude also go hand in hand. When you listen with gratitude, you value people's time, effort, and energy. You make them feel important, which in turn makes them respect you more. Gratitude for others' presence, their words, their contributions, creates loyalty. In workplaces, leaders who listen and thank their teams inspire more respect than those who only give orders. In friendships, those who express appreciation for small acts of kindness are cherished more than those who take everything for granted. Respect is not built through grand gestures alone. It is built in the small moments of listening, noticing, and appreciating. Consider the difference between two kinds of people, one who listens only to respond and one who listens to understand. The first person creates frustration because their attention is not genuine. They are only waiting for their turn to talk. The second person creates trust because their focus is on the speaker, not themselves. Trust leads to respect. People will always remember how you made them feel, and nothing makes someone feel more respected than being truly listened to. The same principle applies to gratitude. Some people only focus on what they lack, constantly comparing themselves to others, constantly complaining. These people rarely earn respect because their energy is rooted in negativity. Others focus on what they have, no matter how little. They express thanks for opportunities, they acknowledge support, they celebrate progress. These people are respected because their energy uplifts rather than drains. People want to be around those who make them feel hopeful, those who carry light instead of darkness. Gratitude radiates that light. Listening also teaches patience, and patience commands respect. In a fast-paced world, everyone wants instant results, instant success, instant recognition. But those who practice patience by listening carefully instead of rushing earn respect for their composure. They do not react impulsively, they respond thoughtfully. That steadiness is admired because it shows control and wisdom. People see them as dependable, someone who does not lose themselves in chaos. Listening cultivates this calm because it forces you to slow down and pay attention. Respect follows naturally. Gratitude, too, teaches patience. When you are grateful, you stop rushing to the finish line. You recognize that life is a process, and every step matters. Gratitude keeps you present. It prevents you from constantly chasing what you don't have, which makes you seem desperate or restless. Instead, you appear grounded, content, and focused. People respect those who can balance ambition with contentment, those who strive for more but still appreciate what they have. That balance is rare, and anything rare earns respect. Another way listening and gratitude build respect is through humility. Listening requires the humility to admit that other people's voices matter as much as yours. Gratitude requires the humility to acknowledge that you did not achieve everything alone. People respect those who are humble because humility is strength under control. Arrogance may demand attention, but humility earns respect. The ability to say, "Tell me more, I want to understand," or "Thank you, I appreciate what you did," shows maturity. It shows that you do not need to stand above others to feel valuable. Instead, you walk beside them. That quality inspires respect everywhere you go. Listening also strengthens leadership. A true leader is not the one who shouts the loudest, but the one who understands the most. Teams respect leaders who consider their input, who create space for voices to be heard, who listen before deciding. People follow those who make them feel valued. Similarly, gratitude strengthens leadership by creating loyalty. When you thank someone for their effort, even in small tasks, they feel motivated to do more. Respect grows when people feel appreciated, not used. That is why the most respected leaders in history are those who both listened and showed gratitude. Even in personal life, these two qualities are vital. Friendships last when both people listen and show appreciation. Relationships thrive when both partners feel heard and valued. Families grow stronger when gratitude replaces entitlement and when listening replaces judgment. Respect in all these areas is built not by constant lecturing or demanding, but by paying attention and giving thanks. Listening also improves your ability to solve problems. When you listen carefully, you gather more information, you see patterns others miss, and you make wiser decisions. People respect wisdom, and wisdom is born from paying attention. Gratitude, on the other hand, makes problem solving easier because it shifts focus from what is missing to what is available. Instead of being stuck in complaints, gratitude helps you use what you have to build solutions. People admire those who can stay resourceful instead of helpless, hopeful instead of bitter. Listening and gratitude also protect you from arrogance. Many lose respect because success blinds them. They stop listening, they stop appreciating. They believe they know it all and owe no one anything. This attitude pushes people away. But those who continue to listen, even when successful, and who continue to express gratitude, even when powerful, are respected even more. Their humility makes them timeless. Their presence is felt not because they demand it, but because they live in a way that earns it. Respect is never just about strength or authority, it is about character. And nothing reveals character more clearly than how you listen and how you appreciate. Do you listen to understand or to reply? Do you show gratitude for what you have, or do you constantly complain about what you lack? These choices reveal who you are, and people respect you accordingly. Listening and gratitude are not loud, flashy qualities. They do not scream for attention, but that is exactly why they are powerful. They work quietly, yet they create deep and lasting influence. People may forget what you said, but they will never forget how you made them feel when you listened. People may forget your achievements, but they will always remember your humility and gratitude. That memory is where respect lives. So if you want to earn lasting respect, learn to listen more than you speak and practice gratitude more than you complain. Let others feel heard, let them feel valued, let them know you appreciate them. In doing so, you will rise, not because you demanded respect, but because you lived in a way that made respect inevitable.